Today we're going to make Slum Gullion, which is a famous Como Southern Cajun recipe that was passed on from my father. It's virtually the only recipe that he ever shared with me, and I learned how to make it when I was a little boy, and now I'm a big boy. So we're going to have this today. We have this frequently in our house, and we've had this for many times, for many years, because it's a great dish. It's basically, it comes from the Cajun definition means country stew. That's what Slum Gullion means. And we're gonna make it today, and I'm gonna break it down into many different parts so you can see how you make it exactly. Bon appetit. We're at part 2 now, and we're at the phase now that I'm starting to prepare all the vegetables. What I always do is I chop everything before we get too far into this thing so that I'm with it when you have to add ingredients. It's all ready to go. I already started up the onions with some garlic that they're in there sauteing right now. And as soon as we get these vegetables chopped in probably another 8 to 10 minutes, the onions will be nice and soft and glazed, and I'll be ready to add the meat to that, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, now we're at the stage where we're going to start browning the meat and getting the meat cooked up a little bit. But the best way to do it that I found out is I take all the onions out. Here, you can come in a little closer. I take all the onions out of the Dutch casserole, take them out so that the meat can cook evenly. And then once the meat starts to get a little bit brown, then I throw the onions right back in with it and then mix them all up together. Meanwhile, all the vegetables have been chopped, ready to go. You'll see me adding those in just a few minutes, and we'll come back to you in just a minute. So I have browned all the meat, and I'm now throwing it in this little bowl here with the attempt to reduce some of the residual fatty grease that comes out of ground meats, as you can see, which is a variety of meats, but because we really don't want that in this delicacy. And it would give immediate taste to it, but not good for your heart. So I will come back to you in just a minute when this is all done, and we'll come to the next stage. Okay, so we've taken out all the real fatty stuff. I'm going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, just a little bit in here so that the pan is not too dry for the meat. When the meat gets back in there, the pan should be hot, so it should go pretty quickly. So it's already starting to bubble up in there. And now we're going to take all that meat that I just took out of there, and we're going to put it back in the pan, like so. And as you can see, this is what dripped into it. I also poured out about a bowl of grease that was also in there. So that's how we stay heart healthy. Now we're at a stage where I like to put some spices in the meat. So I always put my pepper in when I'm doing the meat. So I just kind of, a little, not crazy, but not skimpy either. Not too much salt, since we're trying to stay away from that, but enough to season it. Yeah. So now that's rolling again. Now we put those onions, onions go back in there. So, gonna mix that up again. And then over to my left over here is a colander full of freshly chopped peppers. I have a variety of peppers. All of those will be noted on in my broadcast. At the end, I'll put the recipe in there of all the ingredients that or you can call me up and I'll just give it to you on the phone. Now, we put the peppers in there. This is going to be a big batch. Fortunately, the peppers do cook down a little bit. They lose some of their size because they condense in the heat. So we let those sit in there for probably about 10 minutes of cooking like this. I mix it up so that we don't burn the bottom too badly. And right now I'm going to finish preparing the tomatoes, which is second to the last ingredient that goes in there. Things are moving right along. You can take a look right here and see how this looks before we put the tomatoes in. Now we're going to add 20 plum tomatoes. Just about takes it up to the limit over here. And the tomatoes will cook down, but what we should be doing soon, we might have to transfer some of this to a second pot to finish it all up so I can make sure we don't overflow the pot. The only other ingredient we have to put in here are the beans at the very end, but we can use that into a second pot. So in the meantime, what I do typically at this stage, and this is a double recipe today, so it's got twice as much of the things I would normally put in for it, but it's better to make it a lot of it because then you can freeze it and stuff. So now the things I put in here, you put oregano in. Oregano is a big part of this thing. I put a little bit of paprika, a little pap. Put some onion powder, or rather garlic powder. And then we put some onion powder in there. And we put this is kind of a mystery little spice, a little bit of nutmeg in there. And then finally we put some Worcestershire sauce in there. And that's it. Those are the spices for right now. And we'll come back in a little while, maybe about 45 minutes. Okay, we are now at the just about completed stage. This has been going now for about another 45 minutes, as I hoped, and it happened. All the tomatoes kind of reduced in size, so we have enough space to put our beans. We got 4 cans of beans, a variety. We got dark kidney and we got light kidney, and I also have some black beans in there. So we did stir that in, obviously like that. Stir it, stir it, stir it. And as we're stirring it, we now throw in some cilantro. We take a whole bunch of cilantro and throw that in with it. And then we blend that together. And then we do a little magic trick down here called turn off the stove. We go turn the stove off completely because we don't want the beans to really cook because they'll get too soft and they can get mushy. They're already pre-cooked, I think, in the can. But what we let is the temperature of the Slum Gullion heat up those beans before you start to serve them. So you mix it up nicely like that, and then we let that sit or rest for another about 15 minutes, and then we'll have bon appetit.